Hey everybody, it's Marissa. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a while, and today's topic's kind of a wonky one, so I have a list of things that I want to go through. I'll be talking about depressive episodes, or what I like to call downswings, but I just want to preface with saying that I'm not a licensed therapist, so anything I'm saying isn't qualified to help someone. It's just kind of saying like, hey, these are things I think about when I'm having a bad day. And if you feel like you need help, please seek help. I'm gonna put some links in the description bar to make sure that that's available a click away. I think it's important. I think it's really healthy to seek therapy if that's something you could benefit from, and I think it's something a lot of people could benefit from. So I'm also nervous talking about this, but take what works, toss what doesn't, and this is really just us sitting together, so thank you for sitting with me. First up, depression doesn't care who you are, what you're going through, what's going on in your personal life, what's going on in the world. So I've been hesitating to make this video because a lot is going on in the world, but it is important, I think, to just take the time to still take care of yourself, because again, it's something that doesn't care what's going on. And worse is a slippery slope. I heard that one time from a poetry mentor of mine, basically saying you can't compare what you're going through with what someone else is going through, because then you'll never feel bad for yourself, or you'll never feel like you should take the time to heal yourself, because you'll always be trying to heal other people, but healing yourself is important. So the second thing I want to clarify is I want to make a distinction between a downswing and a depressive episode. For me, they're pretty much the same thing, but I actually was given this lesson by a really great friend of mine, who taught me that downswing, the swing part of it, implies motion. So for me, there's kind of a little bit of hope when I describe it, as opposed to saying an episode, which is just you're sunk in it, you're there, you don't remember when it started, you don't know when it'll end. Swing makes it seem like a process, it's something you're going through, and I can say then, okay, this is just the way that things are, I'm going through it, and I've started saying there's only 24 hours in a day, so I just have to get through them, and then I can try again tomorrow. So the third thing is that a downswing for me is a state of really low energy, and as someone who likes to work, likes to make things, it's really hard for me sometimes to feel like I can't do all the things that I want to do. I have too many ideas, not enough time, and I start to feel really defeated. But for that, I've started telling myself that I am not my productivity. My value and in who I am is not what I can do and what I get done, and that's been really helpful. And another thing I've been thinking about lately and wondering if it can connect to it is you get out what you put in. And that's something that a lot of people will say, I feel, to kind of put a pep in your step in a way that doesn't really work with depression. But for me, I've kind of taken it into the realm of abnormal psychology and said, okay, what if I didn't put my sense of self into this downswing? What if I didn't put my value in the episode I'm having? What would that mean? And basically that means that I can have a sense of self that's separate from what I'm going through, that's separated from this process that has to happen. So it's kind of, I don't want to say nice, but I've learned how to separate that so I can exist as who I am here and know that for me, my depression is part of who I am, but it doesn't define me. And that's been really powerful for me to come to realize. A quote that I heard a while ago that I really like is, let your thoughts come and go, but don't invite them to stay for tea. And I think that's really nice, because then I can just kind of observe the thoughts that I'm having, let them pass. Yeah, they're not the greatest thoughts, but they're not who I am. There's this really cool website called Intrusive Thoughts, either .org or .com, and I'll post it in the comments. And it's just telling you that a lot of people have intrusive thoughts, and it doesn't say anything about who you are. That's just your brain firing different things. So I don't have to say like, oh, I really didn't like that thought. What does that say about who I am as a person? That can exist as two separate things, and that means a lot for me. The fourth thing for me is, it's a really scary moment when I feel out of control of my body, because my exercise and health is really important to me. And when I'm in a downswing, I feel my body slowing down, and that sucks. The fatigue and all of that. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe because I do work a lot and I am constantly on the go, maybe these downswings are just a way of my body restoring balance. Saying, hey, take a minute, rest, regroup. Even though it doesn't feel awesome, maybe it's something that I need to go through. So I think I'm getting better at accepting that and just going through it. So I've just been working on giving myself time and space. So give yourself time and space to go through it, to do what you need to do. The fifth thing that I've realized lately is that when this happens, a lot of times my sense of overarching themes is overinflated. And I might talk about that in a different video, but basically it's a way of looking at the world. Do you look at the details or do you look at the big picture? And during these times, I think my big picture thinking just takes over and leaves no room for the details. And because of that, no matter what's happening in my personal life, it's never good enough. I'm never good enough. What's happening is never good enough. The people in my life, no matter how much they love me, it can't take away this pain. It can't take away the hurt that I feel and that society feels. And, it's just all this self-defeating kind of thought process. And I think it's because that big picture thinking is just decimating everything else. And that was really interesting to realize, because then I also realized that I'm invalidating what I do have, and that's not really fair to the people that I care about. So I've started writing down good things to process. So I have a long list on my phone of things when I am in a good frame of mind and I can enjoy something. I'll write it down. Like, there's a whole paragraph about watching kids play in leaves, and so when I'm in a place where I can't feel joy at that, I can read it and realize that I'm the kind of person who feels joy at that, sometimes when I'm not in a downswing. And that's like, oh, it gives me a better sense of self than I have when I'm here going through it. And then even when I am in a downswing, I can't always process the good things that are happening to me, so I'll write them down so I can feel excited about them later when I can feel excited about them. And that's been helpful too. So the sixth point that I've been trying to think of is, how can I validate my sadness without invalidating others' care for me? Because like I said, for a while I was just saying, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of this or that, I'm not this, I'm not that. And in the meantime, I was just negating whatever anyone told me. When my friends said that they cared about me, when they said that they wanted to know what was going on, I just shut them down. And that wasn't really fair, because I am a person who believes all emotions are valid. So if someone thinks I'm worthy of love and of care, by my own logic, I have to validate that and say, okay, you think this, you have to feel that way for a reason. So it's not really fair of me to say no, because my downswing overrules your attempt to care about me. So I'm trying to find space for both of those to coexist. Not for one to cancel the other out, but for both of them to happen at the same time. 7 is, abnormal psychology is an explanation for not stellar behavior sometimes, but in my mind it's not an excuse. And I've been trying really hard to figure out how to be a good person and still deal with this disorder that I have. And that's been challenging, but at the end of the day, I know that with who I am, the most important thing is to be a good person and to help other people. And I'm not always capable of doing that when I'm in a downswing, which feeds it, but at the same time, the intention that's there is to be a good person. So that's what I've started focusing on. So one thing that's been helpful with that, with my personal life, is just to figure out how can I best communicate my need for time and space, because I need time and space when I'm in this downswing to go through it. How can I best communicate that to people who are trying to help but don't know how? So number 8, I would just like to say that it's not your fault that you're going through this, and I hope you can forgive yourself of what you're holding on to. These are things that I tell myself too, so I'm just sharing them with you. And finding things you like helps. I know with depression, part of the whole bit is that you don't care about the things you usually care about, which is awesome. But what helps me is to be mindful of where I am. And another quote that I like is, there is no should, there's only what is happening. So I'll meditate sometimes, and it doesn't help the thoughts go away. It doesn't help me feel less tired. It doesn't help me feel better. But I get to just connect with where I am. And it's like, you know what? I feel really sad, and that's okay. And I think that shifting it from where I should feel this, I should feel that, to just being mindful of, this is where I am right now. I'm in a downswing, and this is what is happening, has helped me to release that sense of I'm where I should not be. And in that, I'm releasing expectations and disappointment too. So it's helped me. The last thing I want to say, since you've stuck it out through this whole video, thank you, by the way, is some parts of you want to be kind to yourself. Even if it doesn't feel like it, somewhere deep down, you want to take care of yourself, which is why you watched this whole video. And that means a lot. And I hope that you can feel that, or at least understand that that means a lot, that you want to do that. So because of that, I think that you are kind to yourself, you're patient, you're resilient, you're caring, and you're strong. And I want you to remember that. And it's a note for me too, because it's something that when you can't feel it, it's a nice reminder to get. But if you're doing the work and you're consciously trying to still be a good person to others and to yourself, and take the time to heal, you're doing a lot. And that's no small feat. So, thank you for sitting with me. I hope someone out there heard something that might have helped. Therapy is really good, and I will be including links, and if you feel like you could benefit from it, you probably could. And I mean, I think a lot of people could benefit from it. Hang in there. I'll see you around.